Welcome to the APL Spotlight Series. Incredible guests the world over with amazing insights, experiences, and more to share with us. We've had all sorts of healers, all different modalities, actors, psychotherapists, a White House physician to the US president, and many others. Echo Bodine, Lorna Byrne, Jennifer McLean, and some other well-known folks like Lynn McTaggart and John Gray, like Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, that author. Today, coming to us from New York City, two very special folks. They're intuitive healer types with many different modalities and experiences under their belts. They've got the source cards, a deck that you have to check out. And again, very interesting, very talented, and I'm excited to have them on the APL Spotlight Series. They'll be back in 2026 on the regular show. Excited to have them on again. So I'd like to welcome Alexander Dunlop and Viki Scudiery to the show. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having us. It's truly a pleasure. Very exciting.
Thank you, Michael.
And you both have incredible backgrounds. I've got to throw out just a couple tidbits for like Alexander. You wrote at Harvard, so you were at the head of the Charles. You won a gold medal that way. That is no easy feat. It's mostly colleges and universities. A few elite high schools are in there as well competing, but it's the best rowers on the globe, short of
a few national teams too.
Thank you. And it's no easy feat to end up number one. And I had to just throw that out. I have a rowing background only for 1 year back in boarding school. They recruited me as a coxswain, being the littlest guy in the school. Viki, you're a singer, a model, and more. But both of you are hyper intuitive and helping others for a long time now, and doing so jointly in an amazing way. Can you share a little bit about how it came to be that you're doing this practice today?
How much time do you got?
As much as you need.
That can be a long story. I'll see if I can give you the shorter story. As you mentioned, we have both been on long personal journeys. We met each other now 11 years ago. But before we met, we'd both for at least 20 years been on long personal spiritual healing journeys. I'll let Viki tell you her version in a few minutes. And mine was that started when I was 17 years old. I grew up Roman Catholic. Didn't mean much to me. I went on a retreat that my school offered senior year. And on that retreat, I had a surprising spiritual awakening. And that launched me. And I suddenly realized there's something real behind all the dogma. I'll tell you the exact experience because it feels like it's important to share the exact experience. So first, the setting is that this is a retreat center just north of Fort Lauderdale on the beach. And the retreat was 3 days out of school during the week to go and hang out with your friends at the beach. So I signed up. On the last night, a priest came to talk to us about walls around our hearts. And it was a very moving, powerful exercise. And I had been the child of divorced parents and had emotional repressed trauma that I didn't even know that I had at that time. So it was a very powerful exercise. I went to go sit with him afterwards. It's the first time I'd ever actually wanted to talk to a priest in my long and dreary Catholic upbringing. So I'm sitting in this empty room, folding chair, linoleum floor, dim fluorescent lights humming overhead, and I'm having a face-to-face confession in the Catholic tradition. And I don't remember what I said to him at this point, but when I was done, he stood to pray for me and said the traditional prayer of absolution that I had heard umpteen times in my youth. He put his hands on my forehead with his fingertips, and the moment that he did, something went whoosh right through my body, like electricity, like water, all at once, from head to toe in a split-second flash. It left me feeling washed clean. It left me in floods of tears, and instantly I realized there's something real behind all the dogma, all the BS, all the rigmarole. That experience launched me. I didn't know it at the time, but it launched me on a spiritual quest through evangelical Christianity. I became a born-again Christian for a while. And I went back to seminary to study Roman Catholic theology. I thought I might be a priest. Went to India, lived and worked with swamis, and was initiated as a swami. Came back, worked with shamans, as you mentioned, with apprenticing in the Lakota tradition and the Shipibo tradition. Meanwhile, also studying everything, reading every esoteric knowledge I could find, looking for answers here, there, everywhere, trying a lot of different psychedelics, doing ayahuasca ceremonies. And it was at a party in Brooklyn that someone first introduced me to the real meaning of the playing cards. So I find that hilarious that it was at a party in Brooklyn that I found the meaning of my life. And in a deck of playing cards, of all places, in the deck of regular 52 playing cards, I found out that I'm born to play the nine of hearts. It's based on your birthday. So it's a little bit like astrology, numerology, but it's its own system. It's its own knowledge. The regular deck of 52 playing cards. And when I found out I'm born to play the nine of hearts, suddenly my whole life made sense. It explained my life story. The nine of hearts, how I feel things to the nines and have tragic, apparently tragic endings of the heart and different chapters of the heart, and how I have to learn how, as a theme of my soul's journey, to let go, rise above, and forgive. And it didn't all hit me in that one night, but that was the opening. And then I started reading and studying, and there's not that much written about it. There's more now. I ended up writing my own book called Play Your Cards Right, A Sacred Guide to Life on Earth. And in the ayahuasca ceremonies that I was still doing at the time, I brought a deck of cards and asked, what is this? What does this mean? And I started to get the information that this was once known as the Book of Life. It's an unbound book. It connects to the tree of life. The information comes out of the flower of life, and it's all sacred geometry. It's references for the sacred geometric building blocks of our reality. So it's the original information about our reality, and it predates the Bible. Probably, although I don't know for sure, probably it was given to us by extraterrestrials, advanced civilization that gave us this information. Here you go. Here's how your space-time reality is constructed, and here's how your life works. And then it was persecuted and hidden. And it's funny to me now. I was training to be a Roman Catholic priest at one point, and now I'm practicing witchcraft according to the same church, because I'm teaching people how to play their cards right. And then we met, and then gradually I won Viki over that she liked what this was all about. She was a little skeptical at first, and I'll let her tell you why. And now we work together, and we launched the Source Cards website January 1st, 2022, to share this information, to give it away, and then to coach people to play their cards right, because that's the magic. Learning how to play your cards right, then you align your decision making and you tune in to the frequencies of life that are already present. And that's when you get in tune, when the synchronicities start to happen, the right doors open, the right people show up right on time for you, because you're in harmony, you're in tune with reality, and your decisions are in alignment with the structure of your reality. So that's what we do. We teach it, we coach people to play their cards right. We have an online community and a variety of classes and trainings that we offer, all to help people master the game of life. And we do it together, which makes it more fun.
Beautifully said, Alexander. Viki, you're a spiritual teacher, totally intuitive. Talk to us about a little bit about your journey. We'll keep getting into it more as the show goes on.
Okay. In my late 20s, I had a medical issue, and I went to a bunch of doctors, and nobody could figure out what was going on with me. And my mother found me a healer. So I went to an energy healer, and then the next day my issue was resolved. So that was what really catapulted me into the healing world and my healing journey, and wanting to know absolutely everything I could know about healing and energy. And I went to different energy healers and weekend workshops and you name it, and I eventually went to Barbara Brennan's School of Healing, and started a practice. And then fast forward, I meet Alexander, and he right away, we met at a cafe in the city, divinely guided to each other. And he asked me my date of birth and started to tell me all about myself in 20 minutes. And we kind of joked because I was like, wait, you just told me all these things about myself that I just spent the last 25 years learning about myself, like deep stuff, like good stuff, not good stuff, and in this sort of overview of a template based on a date of birth. And I thought, wow, there is really something to this. So that's how I got introduced to it. And yes, at the first I felt like it was really accurate. And I did have moments of feeling like it was a definitive answer for something that would happen to me. And I was like, hey, I have free will. I can manifest my reality and create my reality myself. And there are a lot of people who use this system to make predictions. So a lot of the information out there is based on like, oh, you can find out what's going to happen for you like 6 months from now. Not into it, not my thing, not interested. I want to empower myself from this present moment in my own consciousness and create my reality from my consciousness, So, um, you know, once I got over that hump, it's like it really and then I looked up other people's cards to play also. That was really mind-blowing to me to look up people in my life, their cards to play. It was like, wow, like it just was super healing, super illuminating, like to show me why a dynamic of a relationship is that way because of our cards to play, their cards to play. Very, very healing for me. And then that just like I was like, okay, let's do this thing. So I
Can,
absolutely love it. Yeah.
can we dive into just two little brief moments? You mentioned the energy healing back in the day, and then the Barbara Brennan School of Healing. We've had probably, I'm going to say 3 or 4 folks who have trained that way, who have all been fabulous guests. But first, the energy healing. Do you mind just throwing some flavor in there, what you remember or how it went down or what was unique about it at the time?
This woman, she she had an innate gift, which, well, I feel like healing is an innate gift, but she didn't have any kind of training. And she just discovered like in her life, like that she was tuned in and could see things, feel things, and she worked a lot with crystals. And it was just, I don't know, I had such a beautiful connection with this woman, and it was so nurturing and comforting for me. And then she had Barbara Brennan's book on the table. So she was reading Barbara Brennan's book, and then told me I need to read Barbara Brennan's book, and that I could be doing this with my life kind of thing. And I just remember it was so long ago, but I just remember it being so beautiful, expansive. I'm very sensitive, very sensitive. So if I have a healing like that, I am like, it's so expanded and kind of giddy and sparkly and just like, woohoo, like life is, tripping down the street because I'm kind of looped, like from healings. So I'm very responsive to them, so I really was responsive to the healing.
And for the Barbara Brennan School, did you go to one of her schools or just train through her books?
I did the 4-year program. I flew to Miami 5 times a year for 4 years. So yes, I did the whole thing.
That's a special experience. Everyone's spoken very highly of it. I've held those. I think it's like a bright light blue book that's kind of
Yeah,
not flimsy. It's thick, but it's
right.
big. It's unusual, and I've held it in my hands. Alexander, this has been a long journey. What are the 3 either big lessons, what you've had to let go of, and also what have you brought in and embraced also along the way? What have you had to let go of? What have you had to bring in and embrace more of as you go?
Michael, I didn't know you were going to ask me any hard questions on this.
You can
Uh,
edit it any which way. Don't worry about it.
well, let me just consider this for a moment. Ask me the question again.
Sure. Along the way, it's always ebb and flow, 10 steps forward, 5 steps back, or growth and expansion never stops is another way to phrase it. And, we try either through success, failure, or something in between to put the kibosh on expansion. It's a lot easier to know what you know and, put some boundaries up. Where have you had to like let go of stuff along the way, either recently, the last 5 years, 10 years, or what have you had to embrace more of, or just remind yourself more? Is it opening openness daily? Let's go all Tibetan Buddhist.
Well, it's a great question, and there's many levels and layers to the answer. I'm going to answer with what popped in. Actually, 3 distinct things popped in. So I'll say it in that order. The first, not necessarily in this order, but this is the order it came in just now. The first thing that I've really had to let go of is the Roman Catholic and biblical monotheistic structure of reality metaphysic, that this is how reality is. And what I mean by that is not just the Catholic guilt of like sexuality is sinful, although they wouldn't say that, but that's kind of the message that comes through. It's not just that. It's that there is one right way. There's one truth. That's the underlying assumptive metaphysic of biblical monotheism. And that's what leads to conflict and war, even, and conflict among people. Like, you don't think the way I think, then you must be wrong because there's only one right way, there's only one truth. And this is the model that biblical monotheism assumes about reality. And you see that played out even among people who are otherwise agnostics or atheists. Again, that's why we have this cultural war, so to speak, Republican versus Democrats, where people assume that there's only one right way or one truth. It has to be this or that. And one of the biggest things I've had to let go of is that set of assumptions. Instead, it's actually this and that are both true. It just depends on your perspective and on your resonance, what frequency you're resonating on. And the best way I found that was through these cards, which, this regular deck of cards that I'm holding up, because there are 52 different archetypal patterns played out in infinite variety of ways. They're all true, right? It's all true. It's not that one is true and one is false. I'm born to play the nine of hearts. My way of operating is very different than Viki's born to play the five of diamonds. You're born to play the ace of diamonds, I think, if I remember.
I think that's what I am. Yeah.
We all have different ways of operating. And as parents, it's so helpful so that we're not trying to force our kids to be like us, which is unfortunately what most parents do, or even spiritual teachers, spiritual gurus who think they found the one right way. And then I look up their cards to play and I'm like, of course you're teaching that way because that's your card to play of how you do your life. And yet actually we have different ways. So I've had to let go of the biblical monotheistic model that there's only one right way, one truth. No, there's a complete variety of truths that are true for each of us. So the second thing that I've had to let go of is trying to use my brain as my arbiter of truth, trying to think that thinking is the tool that's going to arrive at truth. It doesn't. It can't. And interestingly enough, I mean, I only realized that recently, but interestingly enough, when I was at Harvard, I studied postmodern philosophy. That was my interest. And postmodern philosophy, 20th century philosophy, in simple terms, came to the conclusion that thinking can't ever arrive at truth. Can't do it. Anytime you're thinking, it's always a reflection of your own limited station and perspective in life. There's no absolute thinking. There's no thinking that's disembodied in a pure vacuum, because always thinking is within your context, what you're feeling, what your background, your gender, your race, your thinking is always situated within a context. It doesn't just exist as a pure form of thinking. So whatever you're thinking is just a reflection of your current state. So thinking can never transcend and arrive at any kind of universal truth. This was the postmodern philosophers realized that. But the way I realized it is that they're right, but their conclusion was that therefore everything is relative. There's no truth. It's all relative. But actually we have our hearts to find the truth. The heart is actually the instrument of truth, not the brain. We can feel what's true. We can feel each other's frequency and feel each other's resonant field and know that that person is being authentic. That person is acting in integrity. And again, it may be different way of being, different way of thinking, but we can still feel, oh, I like that person. Oh, that person feels good. That's the level at which truth exists as a resonant field of feeling. So that's the second thing I had to let go of, was that thinking gives the answers, or thinking gives the truth. And I can't remember the third thing that I was going to say.
We're going to come back to your third thing. I'm going to ask Viki a question in just a second, but I'm going to do two quick comments. Angels once said, like 10 years ago, there's no right or wrong, but there is proper understanding. Viki, what is that proper understanding? Is love the fabric of the universe?
Wow. Wow.
Look at you, just
little questions, not a term.
The best. Oh my gosh, yes. Appreciation which I also think is love. I mean, that is love. Appreciating what is, and there only is this moment. And yes, love. Love is the answer.
I know Alexander was just talking about like thinking about walking the dog might not even happen in the first month of thinking about walking the dog. The poor pooch loses out. But so it's not walking the dog. Being in the heart's being in the heart. Like giving a hug is not thinking about a hug. Talk to us a little bit more about the difference between there's thinking or whatever you want to call it, fear, judging that excludes possibility or knowing that precludes possibility. And then there's limitlessness, timelessness, the heart, openness, connection to all. How do you like to describe the different flows? Every culture, every philosophy, every religion, and every spiritual practice has a different way of saying it. What's your preference for here and here?
Oh, me.
Yeah. Viki.
I thought we were back.
We're buying him more time to think up number 3.
Okay.
I gotta still think about that. All right, it'll come.
It just feels like, to me, it's energy. I feel it as an energy. So an energy of the heart, an energy of love, sensations in the body, a feeling in the heart, energy in the mind. The difference between the higher mind and the divine self and our intuition versus our brain, which is thinking, which is what Alexander was describing before. But then we also have the energy aspect, the divine aspect of our infinite soul, of the divine mind. So I see it as, there's the divine mind and there's the heart and love, and then the physical brain, which is, analyzing something.
And you're an energy healer, Viki. Talk to us about your super skill. This isn't like, I don't know how to say this. Just which way do you love helping people the most right now?
I love to bring a fresh perspective to things. I love to, discover an underlying pattern that's holding someone back. So I believe that everything is based on our belief systems about ourselves, other people, and life. And then those belief systems create our reality, create the patterns, create the negative loops. And so helping someone to really discover what those things are, to help them let go of it energetically, to let go of the pattern, to let go of the belief system in order to shift into a new positive belief, a new energy, a new paradigm, up-leveling their life, to feel more joy and love in themselves, for themselves.
Funny. Yeah, it's so funny that you said that, because I was just grabbing the Angel Joy's actual photo to put up for Alexander on number 3. You may already have remembered it, but if you don't mind getting a little nuance to number 3 from Joy, hear a little whisper and just say got it when you got it, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, cool. Now back to you for number 3. What was the third item?
I don't remember if this was the original third thing that came in, but here's the thing that wants to be said. And this is what I've had to step up to, let go, step up. So number 3, what I've realized I need to step up to is to consciously operate through the heart. And I can actually feel the difference, and it's a practice for me still, if I'm interacting from my brain or from my heart. Because the brain might be like, dude is silly. He's holding up a card on the screen right now that has a blue dot on it. That's my brain. But my heart is, I can feel your love and I can feel your joy. I can feel your passion and your aliveness and your excitement. And so I'm at a point now where I can consciously distinguish. And it's important for me, especially because I'm born to play the 9 of hearts. My game is the heart energy. So sometimes I have clients, they come and they're club energy, which is mind. And I'll joke with them and I'll say, oh, so, and especially within new age kind of holistic circles, I'll joke with them and I'll say, oh, so you have no idea what it's like to be heart-based, do you? And they'll be like, bro, every time someone talks about that, I don't know what the F they're talking about. And I'm like, that's okay. You don't need to know that. You're a mind-based person. You operate clubs as your birth suit. You're operating through your mind. You're intuitive. You know things intuitively. You're not intended to be a heart-based person. So this is an important corrective, and how I love this knowledge, these source cards, because they pinpoint for us how we best operate. So we're not trying to take on something that we're not, and we judge ourselves for not being able to do it. So my way is to be heart-based, but I didn't grow up that way. I didn't know that. I wasn't taught that. No one parented me that way to be heart-based. So I've had to step up by stepping out of my brain, stepping down into more consciously operating through my heart and feeling people, feeling where they're coming from, and then operating accordingly.
So the mind really is a big club. I get it. And then
Yep,
hearts are all about the hearts that suit. What about spades? Tell us a little bit about spades.
sure. The spade is an acorn, and the acorn classically is a symbol of the pineal gland, sometimes known as the third eye or seat of the soul. Vision, faith, imagination, where what you see is what you do. What you believe is what you do. And you can always know what someone really believes by watching what they do. No matter what lip service they pay, you know what someone really believes by what they do. And the spade, as an acorn, is a symbol of the great mystery of how this tiny seed, this acorn, can grow into a huge oak tree. It's similar for ourselves, that from this seed of our belief grows everything else that we are. You have the club, which is the mind, the heart, the diamond is the gut. I'm pointing to my belly button. So these are the three classical divisions of human being: the mind, body, spirit, mind, body, heart. And we are actually three in one beings that start with what we believe. So we ourselves are a holy trinity that starts with this tiny seed of our belief, our faith, that then blossoms into our feelings, our thoughts, and our physical reality, because thoughts become things. But from the first seed of faith comes a feeling. That's the first thing we get, is a feeling. From the feeling, we start thinking, because it's the emotions that drive the thinking. If you're feeling angry, you're going to think spiteful thoughts. If you're feeling happy, you're going to think lovely thoughts. And then those thoughts materialize to create diamonds, the material level of life. And then it cycles back into spade again and is reborn again through the vision and the doing of life again.
And you can't plant an acorn without a spade. So I love it. Get
Exactly.
back to diamonds in a little bit and go back to the mind, body, spirit part so we can do a little more fleshing out of everything. But I will light some sage right now, and then we'll figure out something else to take us in a new direction. If anybody's watched the show before, you've seen me blow sage. You can catch sage anywhere in the world. It doesn't matter if it's the year 2030, you're in Germany, Tokyo, New Zealand. Just let your heart do the catching the scent of sage. But do set your intent if you feel like you need help or put a hand on your heart. Ask the universe, angels to get you out of your head into your schnoggin. And even if your schnoggin doesn't smell, people still smell the sage. So put a comment, an emoji counts, but put a comment if you smell the sage. We get those all the time. If you want to see a little ball of light by you or more, just ask the universe to make it really nice. If you don't ask, you don't get. It's like a pay raise or a date. Okay, you guys have done this before, I think twice. Catch a little bit of sage. Just say got it out loud for me when you get it in New York. I'm in Texas.
Got it.
Got it.
And if anybody wants flowers, it's Valentine's Day. Ask for flowers from your angels, your loved ones. Let them celebrate you and shower you with the floral scent. Can you let me know when you get a little floral or petunia, roses? What are you getting?
Got it. So beautiful.
Viki, which flower did you get?
Um, like jasmine, a jasmine. Yeah.
Nice. And I'll put up joy for a topic. Viki, I'll have you go first, and then you'll just say the topic out loud. And then Alexander, you'll go second, and you may already be getting it before I put the photo up. But then we'll have Viki talk first and Alexander second. What's Joy saying would be a great topic? What are you getting?
Oh, challenges.
Challenges,
Ooh.
obstacles,
Yeah.
challenges. I love it. And then Alexander, what are you getting from her?
Uh, wow. Like healing the heart, or like heart trauma, but healing the heart trauma.
Beautiful. Viki, where do you want to take us with obstacles and how it's actually an opportunity for growth?
Where do I want to go with that? So we have lots of cards to play in our life path of 13 plus cards. Not only our birth card, Nine of Hearts, and I'm playing the Five of Diamonds, but in that path of cards, there are cards that show challenges. I would say that, some of the most profound healing I've had is really looking at those challenge cards for myself. Um, Letting go of a lot of fear to overcome the block, to overcome the pattern that I'm playing out over and over and over for a lifetime. And to find that it is, like in this template, is quite profound. I never really liked to raise my hand in school ever. I was always in the back, never, not saying anything. No, I just listen. And to find out that, like my Pluto card, for example, the Pluto is the unconscious hidden fears. And we have a card that represents everyone's, each person has their Pluto card that represents their unconscious hidden fears. So I found out that mine is the Four of Hearts. And the four is about structure, foundation, organization. Hearts is about the heart, emotions. I'd like to show it to you, actually. And growing up, I had a phenomenal ability to hold the space, hold the foundation for other people to share their feelings with me, to share their process, their, issues, what they're going through, So I feel like that's in my Pluto. But I also would shove all my own feelings down and not express myself, not express my feelings for a lifetime, of just like being, everything's good, I'm good. No, I'm not really feeling anything right now. I feel good. When deep down it was like, really push down anger, resentment, sadness, you name it, like, because I'm not, really accessing them. I'm not acknowledging them. I'm not honoring my feelings, and I'm not expressing them, Interesting. This ties into what you said about heart healing. And here I am talking about this. So, even to be able to do something like this with you right now, like I've really overcome a lot, like of fear of being able to express myself and be super vulnerable,
Because in the Pluto card represents what we're afraid to show. It's the hidden side of ourselves that we try to keep secret. So what Viki's saying is that she would keep her feelings secret and not show anyone her feelings.
And Alexander, before we go to you, I'm going to put up a photo of four archangels. They're going to look like rainbow pie slices. I don't remember when I took the photo, like 2014. But you can just see balls of light around you or directly see them standing before you. But what are you hearing from, it's Raphael, Michael, Gabriel, Uriel, four archangels. What are you getting for an extra little cherry on the sundae here, Viki, to add just a little extra flavor to what you were just talking about?
Well, first of all, you know, I just feel everything physically. The sensations in my body when you show me that are off the charts. It just feels absolutely blissful to look at that. My body is just like vibrating. And then I just hear like I'm so on my path, living my purpose,
Yay.
in the right place. I'm so in the right place at the right time.
I love it. Alexander, for getting the trauma out of your field, I don't know how else to say it. How do you want to tackle this one?
Well, it's been a journey. And so I mentioned that starting at age 17, that had that awakening because of the talk being about how we close our hearts and close our hearts down. And the way the priest said it at the time, we close our hearts down to God's love. And finding out my birth card is the Nine of Hearts, where even though the birth card represents your native gift, your life's purpose, what you're really here to do, what you're really here to give, it doesn't necessarily mean that we're connected to it. If we've been conditioned growing up to, let's say in my case, to consider feelings as a weakness, then I had no mental awareness connection to feelings as anything other than weakness. So I've needed to unlearn that entire conditioning and programming in order to transform my own awareness and to see that feeling things to the nines is actually a good thing. not a bad thing. You know, when I was a little boy, it meant crying on the playground. I didn't feel good. Now I'm like, we watch a movie together. I'm the one who cries at the end of the movie, you know, and it just that's I feel things to the nines. And learning to
Like
see,
this on the couch.
learning to know that my feelings are a strength and it allows me to be empathic, it allows me to do the work that I do in coaching people because I can feel exactly where they're coming from. They can't bullshit me.
Mhm.
And so I can feel it. So recognizing my feelings as a gift has been a big part of the process of accepting my past, recognizing it as a training, as a learning process, and not feeling bitter or resentful about it. And that's something that I've found to be tremendously healing is the acceptance of what is rather than wishing it would have been different, because in that acceptance comes the healing.
And I don't know how to say this. In 1970, when my dad passed when I was two, Navy fighter pilot type off of Italy, it was his time to go. But it was part of my path to be able to do all this today. A woman brought over three pictures of these Native American chiefs that hung over my bed as a kid and as an adult in the office. But it kind of kicked off my whole career around 2014 or so. Don't Red Shirt Geronimo. I'm going to put up Red Shirt, the Lakota Sioux chief. You've apprenticed in like Lakota Sioux practices and more. Maybe we can hear about that later. Could we get just like a mantra, a reminder for everybody on how to walk a smoother path? And I'll kick one out that I know that they said, like in the last 10 years, they said it, feel what you feel, do not judge. I'll put Red Shirt up. And if you want to catch one of those sacred Native American scents, there's like 60 of them: sweetgrass, juniper, sage, desert piñol, pine, tobacco, a campfire smell. Tell me what you're smelling in the air if you'll allow for it. But what's Red Shirt saying as a reminder? He's a sweetheart. He's wearing a U.S. presidential medal. Day after the photo was taken, White House, Teddy Roosevelt, horseback parade on Pennsylvania Avenue.
Yeah, when I first saw him and you had put him up earlier, the first thing that came in, there's first of all, with all of these native peoples, there's a great deal of sadness that they all still carry. So that's the first thing that I feel. And right after that, the message is listen to the land. And that's a very deep message, and I know you could feel it, but it's not in any way superficial at all. I'll say it this way: the spirituality is of the land, and so it's actually a grave mistake that we have collectively transplanted a spirituality of the desert Middle East, biblical monotheism, that we've taken that spirituality of that land and then transplanted that to totally different lands. Because actually each land has its own spirituality, and the native peoples knew that. Each land has its own essence, has its own spirit. And so, again, grave mistake to transplant the spirituality of one land and bring it to another land because it's totally incoherent and incompatible with this land.
Beautifully said. And I have a list of words. This is the easiest question of the day. But what's been your favorite word that's a concept or something that you've been really trying to embrace more of? I'll give you like 5 to 12 to get the juices, creative juices flowing. And then you'll just let us know what's been a real focus lately or what you just moved out of and what you're moving into. Acceptance, acknowledgement, attention, allowing, attitude, awareness, abundance, angels, positivity, and love. The name of the show. Subscribe, like, share, comment, and emoji counts. Who has resonated the most? Viki, Alexander, was it the rowing? Was it the land just now? But kindness, attention, compassion, appreciation, gratitude. We talked about gratitude. Viki, what jumps out at you or what's already coming from your end of things? What's been something that's been a real focus lately for you?
Appreciation. Big focus for me. Appreciation. Appreciating this moment, appreciating that there only is this moment right now, appreciating everyone, everything in my life, appreciating myself. That's it. It's like
Beautiful.
brings me to the present, it helps me to ground, be present and grounded in my body. And not like thinking about anything from the past or the future. What if? this and, anything held from past experiences. Yeah.
Be here now is what jumped out as you were talking. Alexander, how about yourself?
I would say acceptance, as I mentioned, acceptance of what is, acceptance of the moment as perfect as it is. And it's intimately tied in with appreciation because you can't accept what is, really accept what is, without instantly, automatically appreciating it. Because if there's any resistance to what is, then you can't appreciate it. So for me, it maybe again, slightly different coin, other side of the coin of a different truth that is neither more true or less true than the word choice of appreciation, of acceptance, accepting what is exactly as it is, accepting the past exactly as it was, accepting myself exactly as I am. This is a continual practice for me in letting go of any judgment from my mind of thinking that it should be different and simply accepting.
The two biggest quotes I usually throw out during the show are one from a NASA astronaut, Story Musgrave, getting out of the comfortable path. That's what exploration is all about. And the second is by Gary Zukav from Seed of the Soul. And I'm going to read this one, but I'd love to get a reaction from each of you. And then we're going to do some more quotes and get more reactions from you both. He said, "You change the way that you shape the light which is flowing through you by changing your consciousness or your perspective, however you want to view it." Viki, what's your reaction to that one?
Well, it's like once again, I just like see I feel it physically, like coming into my head, into my body, and changing my perspective of the consciousness.
You are a
Yeah.
big feeler. I love this, and I can see it when it's happening. Alexander, what's your reaction to Gary Zukav's quote? And you don't need me to read it again, do you?
I don't.
Okay.
Uh, True, but that is the way, mechanically, that's the way it happens. And again, I learned that only by knowing the real meaning of the playing cards, to know the structure of reality, that everything starts through this acorn, which is also like the movie projector, the consciousness projected through that lens, I guess we could say. That's what is the initial definition and shape of reality. And we choose our own consciousness. We have the power to change our beliefs. So we can choose how the light of all that is, God, universe, source, life, we can choose how that light filters through our own lens, our own consciousness, that then defines our reality based on how we see and what we see. And that becomes our assumptions too of how we assume things are. That's just the way it is. Well, actually, no, that's how you're seeing it through the lens of your consciousness. It's not just the way it is. You can actually open your lens differently and shine your lens differently. And then you're going to filter the light through you differently and you're going to see new things. Oh, I remember the third thing.
What was the third thing?
That extraterrestrials are real. I thought it
Oh,
was
yeah.
all bunk. I thought it was all nonsense, bunk and nonsense. And now I'm like, oh wow, they're real.
Why don't we do this? We'll go on a quick segue. I'll come back to three more quotes. It could be Winnie the Pooh. It could be Einstein, Eckhart Tolle. It could be Rumi. Who knows? But I'm going to put up two more angels, and you can pick one, get something from them. It could stay private. You could share it out loud. There's a Charlotte and a Min. Charlotte's everybody's favorite teacher from third grade with words meant to help you expand. Min is light waves of energy and water. Very soft-spoken professor. Mother Hawaii, if you prefer. Alexander, which one's jumping out at you? Just pick one.
I like the orange wave.
Okay. And from Min, can you get a reminder on something that's just beautiful to share with all of us?
It's what's coming to me. So I mentioned that I was in India and I was became a Swami there, and I was wearing the orange saffron robes, and it reminds me of that, of the devotee and the devotion to the path and the devotion to awakening that orange saffron represents for the sannyasi.
And is Sri Shirdi Sai Baba A-okay with you, the one from 100 plus years ago?
Uh,
It's this guy by any chance?
oh, I'm not super familiar with him. But
Do you like Ganesh? Do you like is Ganesh A-okay?
yeah, sure. Oh, they're all okay. It's not my cup of tea, but go ahead, throw them out.
Throwing them out. And if you want, catch Indian temple incense, like just 10 meters behind you is the temple. It's all happening, high vibe jungle all around you. Whatever you allow to come in for your full experience there. Vicky, you might be getting it like right now. But
Yeah.
let us know when you're getting the incense too. Very elegant. But there's Ganesh. Catch something for all of us because you're really good at packaging it in a smooth way.
Put on your crown, the crown of your beautiful authority.
I keep using the word beautiful today. It's going to be like the fourth time. I never say that on any show out of 300. I've never said beautiful, but I'm saying beautiful again for the fourth time. Okay, Vicky, I promised you, you got two angels. Pick one, pick both. What are you hearing or feeling from them? And if you can just share a little.
So I also was just couldn't stop looking at Min. That's I couldn't even take my eyes away. And I felt appreciation for the things that are not easy, like the challenging things in life, the things that don't necessarily feel good, and appreciating them for bringing the awareness and the growth.
Now, I promised three quotes. You can handle this any which way. There's one in particular that jumps out. You're like, you actually thought of a totally different quote that was very pivotal for you. It's what you relied on 3 years ago. It'll be whichever way you want to play this, or that comes up. Let me do it this way. I'm trying to kind of shuffle here. I got 18 pages of quotes, so something new. Oh, this is easy. Mother Teresa said around 2014 or so, even though she passed away earlier, laughter is love. I love that one. So in perfect day for it, laughter is love. So that's the first one. And then Red Shirt, he said, life lessons lead to compassion. Two really easy, short, fun ones. And then finally, Wayne Dyer, everything you are against weakens you. Everything you are for empowers you. Who wants to just put a hand up and jump on one of those quotes? Alexander, don't hold back.
Oh,
Life
she's flowing.
lessons lead to compassion.
Something's happening over there.
Laughter is love. Life lessons lead to compassion. And everything you are against weakens you. Everything you are for empowers you. Who wants to talk a little bit more?
I mean, I love laughter is love because I just love to laugh. It just feels so amazing to laugh as big as I and loudly as I possibly can. I love laughter. And it does feel like just love bouncing around laughter. But I do want to comment on Wayne Dyer's because it just like, yes, 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 yes. It like so simply said and so beautiful. Like that's something that you're for empowers you, even the movement of it, like for empowering you to move forward in an empowered, strong, powerful way. And the resistance persists, that yeah, it negates, it crushes, it's yeah, soul crushing. So I love them, love them, love them, love them.
Yeah.
Alexander, anything else to add there?
Yes, I'm just visualizing the being against something and that how that weakens you. And again, that's what biblical monotheism taught us all, that if there's only one right way, then you want to be against anything that's not this. And that's how the church for its whole existence, and not just the church, all the biblical monotheistic traditions were against heretics or pagans or whomever else was against the church. And that's the way that model of reality operates. It divides people and it makes you for one thing and against something else. But it really does actually weaken us, not just individually, but as a people, because then we're divided and we're weak as a result. So it's recognizing, again, it's at an emotional level of realization that this makes me feel weak. I feel bad. It's not a good feeling to have. And at that level of truth, to realize, wait a minute, there must be something wrong about this belief. that we're divided, that it's one way or the other way, and anyone who doesn't think like us, we need to condemn them and suppress them and excommunicate them and fast forward to deplatform them and cancel them. That's misinformation. It's divisive and it weakens us. So it really is for me about letting go of this assumption that there's only one right way to live and be. And again, I found that from finding the real meaning of the 52 playing cards, which show that the structure of our reality is a 52 factorial system, which is a finite system, but for all intents and purposes, it has infinite variety in it. And then we can accept each other exactly as we are and love each other. And then that strengthens us. That's what strengthens the bond between all of us.
And I love what you just said. Reason can pretty much speak against anything. So whether it's reason, rationale, logos, ego, again, it could be against anything, whereas love allows for all. I'm going to read my absolutely favorite quote from angels. I try to get it on the show. It's like 1 out of every 10 shows. But this is so gentle. I'd love to just get your reaction. But if you have a specific moment where either the universe stepped in for you, you stepped in for someone, something happened where it was beyond the normal pale, I'll buy you time for that reflection. Maybe a stranger said the right thing at the right time or helped you at the right time. Sparkly eyes, you turned around, they're gone. Those are the extreme examples. But here's the really gentle quote. Sometimes the person next to you or a stranger just needs validation via love and compassion. A smile changes any moment, so too does laughter or a few kind words. Be compassionate to all, do it. What's the reaction? And would you have a moment in life that you'd love to share that you still just don't know, or you do know that it was the universe stepping in, or perhaps you were helping someone else? Don't start talking all at once here.
I have something. I was on my way to a Barbara Brennan teaching that they were having in Manhattan. And I was standing in front, I was in the subway and I was standing with my back to the booth where the subway attendant is. All of a sudden, I get whacked in the back so hard, like I'm talking, boom, like, and it threw me forward and I was like in shock and I turn around and the guy says to me, well, you shouldn't have been standing in front of the door. So I got into the elevator. I'm completely stunned, and these people are around me.
This is the door to the booth, the security booth, where the worker is working to take the tickets. So that person opened the door, and it banged Viki in the back.
So I get on, and a woman looks at me, and they were like, "Well, they could have been a little bit nicer to you. That he just smacked you in the back, kind of thing." And I just was stunned. So I'm on the subway, and I am stunned, and it's like I'm thinking about, what was I like thinking about when that happened to me? And I realized that I was stressed about the kids. My phone was going to die. And I was worried that if my phone died, my kids would not be able to reach me. That's where my brain and my thought process was when that happened. So it's like, okay. I get to my event. I have the most magical, expansive experience with all the Brennan people. And I get on the subway to come home. And I'm just in so much appreciation and feeling really blissed out. And this woman comes along, packed car, and she's asking people if we want a word on a piece of paper. And she's got all these papers that say love, appreciation, gratitude. I'm just like, I want one. I'll pay for one, like. So I ended up having a conversation with about 5 people because of that, because I said yes. All the people around me are all chatting and we're all like, just talking about, what she's doing and the words and what words you would pick kind of thing. And so I was like, I wanted bliss. And so she's doing it in calligraphy for me. And it was just a complete shift I'll never forget this, a complete shift based on my consciousness and where my thought process was and my feeling, like resonating with where I was at. And funny ending to the story is that we're about to get to my stop and she's not finished making my word in calligraphy. in China, actually Chinese characters. Um, so she says, I'll go with you. So she gets off with me and she starts asking me questions, about my life and what do I do? And so I told her about the cards. So, well, I teach about cards. I said, when's your birthday? My birthday is June 12th. I say to her, when's your birthday? She says, June 12th. I mean, it was just like really magical for me. I'll never forget it.
And before we jump to you, Alexander, I'm thinking of the Sean Ryan show where there's an SAS specialist who is the uh, Nairobi hero, the Kenyan hotel, the hotel taken over by terrorists. He single-handedly rescued like almost 700 hostages. But before he got to the hotel, he picks up a stranger. He's been off training that morning solo. He's on a dirt road 30 kilometers outside of Nairobi, and he sees a stranger walking in a suit, but it's very dusty and it's very unusual. He would normally never pick anybody up. He asks if they need a lift. They start chatting. It's an older man. He shows him a ceremonial knife just in case he runs into any demons along the way. But he asks his name. I think they have the same birthday. He somehow asks his birthday as well. It's the same month, the same day, but he doesn't know his own year, the older man. And as he exits the car, he has to be let out before the village. He just turns to him and says, may God bless you many times this day. And on the Sean Ryan show, when you're watching Chris Craighead, very famous SAS operator, you hear him tell this story. Well, it was probably Archangel Uriel came in at the end with the may God bless you many times this day, because 2 hours later, he's in the middle of one of the biggest terrorist events ever. And he got a sort of a blessing that left him in a flow state for like a week afterwards. And I'm just mentioning this because the birthday thing was unusual. And I would love to put up Joy and Min for you back to your experience. If you want to hear a little extra about that person, you don't have to share anything out loud. Just say, got it. There's no accidents. But if you did want to share something you heard about that person that day doing the calligraphy, you're welcome to share it. But again, get it privately first. Just say, got it when you got it.
Got it.
You can get the lowdown on pretty much anything. Was it good? You don't have to share it, but was it good?
It was great in the sense that like there was such a synchronicity in that the fact that we both have the same birthday, we're playing the exact same cards. And how we're both playing our cards is also really synchronized. Like, because I like got to know her a little bit through social media and how she is playing out her five of diamonds, in her life, Yeah.
And Alexander, what do you have? Oh, sorry. Alexander, what do you have for us for your either an experience helping others, something with the universe? What would you like to share?
I was reflecting on it. I'm not actually getting anything right now to share. There's nothing coming through in this moment. I want to comment a little bit on Viki's story. It's and she mentioned it, I'll just say it slightly differently. I love that story because the universe's way of getting our attention at first can be a little gruff or it might even hurt. And just the contrast in where she was in her head with worry and fear and she gets banged on the back to when she's in a state of bliss and she has this blissful experience on the subway, which New York City subway is, people don't talk to each other and it can be a little dirty and crowded. And so to create from her own energy field that experience around her, I love that story that's a perfect example of how that happens for us.
I love it. And I'm sure that door hitting you helped you either let go of something or be the transformation for the Brennan School experience where it was incredible later. It helped you maybe get a level playing field, a release. And just 10 seconds, so I don't go too off mark, but I had stress one day around 2019 that I could not shake from interacting with someone. I think it was like a client or something. I tried saging, 2 showers, played ball with the dog in the backyard. Finally, the household was like, let's go on the trail. It's a very big nature, complex, or I forget what we say, technical trail with the rocks and stuff. And I still run a lot, but I run it technically. But so we're walking and we get to the halfway point and it gets a lot easier down the hill. And I want to go home. First time in 10 years ever wanting to go home. Something's still on me. And the decision was let the dogs decide. So, of course, dogs don't want to leave the trail. They go down the hill. A mile later, on the flattest part, like downtown Lake Austin, this is Austin, Texas at the time, the easiest, like almost like a sidewalk, packed dirt. There's a little stone smaller than a golf ball. I step on it. A gunshot goes off as my ankle breaks. But I remember as I was hitting the ground, all the stress left me. It was the same experience as I describe it, in that as I impacted the earth, I felt all of that, whatever it was, density goes straight in. And then I turned white as a sheet, and it was totally the best thing in the world, breaking my ankle, getting a screw in because of real estate and all this other stuff. And your trajectory in life changed at that moment. That would be my 2 cents. Alexander, let's do this. I'm going to put up Plato, Spirit Guide, Charlotte, and Joy. And let's see if they can remind you of a moment that you want to share. Plato, you can see the old man's face in the photo if you look.
Okay.
No hugs from him. They're sweaty, so just get a fist pump tap on the shoulder. But between Joy, Charlotte, and Plato, what are you getting as a reminder for a chapter in your life where something a little, extraordinary happened?
I've had many of those. For some reason, it's not present to share.
Oh, no worries. No worries.
I've had many synchronistic, miraculous types of thing. Okay, here's something that's coming in that I can share. I had a physical healing of my body during an ayahuasca ceremony where since I can remember, since I was a boy even, I remember having a pain in the middle of my back, and I would like I was 12, 13, and I would try to stretch it out on the floor. I couldn't do it. And then in my adult life, I would go for bodywork sessions, and invariably, whomever, the Rolfer massage therapist, would get to this one point in the middle of my back, and they'd be like, "Oh, wow, there's something here. I can't work this out." Be like, "Bro, that's what I'm paying you for. That's the spot I want you to work on." "No, I can't get it. There's something really stuck in there." So fast forward to where I'm doing ayahuasca ceremonies in my 30s, and I've already done many at this point, and this is my third night in. I used to do 4 nights in a row, and my third night in, I drink it, and for some reason it tastes really sweet. I'm like, that's kind of weird because it's a bitter taste. It tastes really sweet. I'm like, oh, that's weird. And I'm sitting, and I start to feel the medicine come on, and I was sitting on a meditation pillow, like a Buffon pillow, and I feel it really coming over me strongly. And I'm starting to get this memory of being on the playground as a little boy, and where, again, I was very emotional and suppressed my feelings. I'm getting this strong memory, and I'm feeling it in my body, this sweetness where I learned to be too nice. That was kind of a compensation tactic. And I'm feeling the vomit come on, for those of you who know or don't know about ayahuasca. And so I kind of lean forward to get my bucket, and I vomit, I throw up. And it's pretty intense. And I'm like, when I'm done throwing up, I just kind of like go lie back down. And I hadn't thought about the fact that there's a pillow behind me, because I just want to lie back down because I'm like exhausted from this process of throwing up. I go to lie back down, and the pillow is there. And as I lie back down, not remembering it was there, I lie back down. And as I lie over it, my whole back goes crack, 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 crack. And my whole back released. And that I was like, oh my God, it's gone. Like, for the first time in my life, that spot that I couldn't get to, it's gone. And so I had that physical healing during the ceremonial work that was profound, and then set my back free.
Oh, I love it. I'm going to put up Jaguar Spirit, and if you will allow for a beautiful interaction of some sort, you don't have to share it out loud, but just think inner authenticity. I don't know how to speak right now. Inner peace, inner power, inner fearless, peaceful warrior. But if you could hear something about that, and in general, and anything you would want to share, again, no obligation, but if you're getting something, let us know.
You said it well already. Inner fearless, peaceful warrior. Those are good words.
I just feel related.
Viki, if you want, you can put your hand out to the side off camera and feel. It's going to be a little wiry and short fur, and just say "got it" out loud if you got it. And I have only one last figure for the show. Vicky, are you getting the jaguar?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Um, I have the tiger that the Divine Mother or Durga, I don't know how to say anything right, rides on, and that's an action figure, not a spirit animal on everyone's team. So, Alexander, here's the tiger, and this one should come through pretty strong for you. And Vicky, if you want to feel soft shampooed for a totally different feeling here, and we'll have you go next on this. Alexander, what are you getting from the tiger?
Well, actually, the first thing I'm getting is that I like the Jaguar better.
Okay, but why?
Something about that Jaguar was you put good words to it. I like that inner, fearless, peaceful warrior. I could feel my whole energy expanding as I was looking at the Jaguar. It did something much more to my field.
And you're outstanding in your field with sunflowers right now, just so you know. Okay, here's Jaguar, a second photo, fluidity. And see if you just get a little different nuance. Vicky, we are coming to you in just a second, so seatbelt on. Uh, Jaguar, a little bit of fluidity, or do you prefer in repose, putting it all together? Which one do you like better?
I like the first one the best, the
Okay,
face.
you got it. And then Vicky, do you like Jaguar better or Tiger?
Jaguar.
Okay, here's the first one. Last bit of playing around here on the show. What are you getting from Jaguar as a reminder for us all?
Oh, um, well, the words are I am that.
Ooh, explain.
That is me. I am all of that. The energy that I feel from that Jaguar. There's so much power, relief, confidence, love. Strangely enough, I kept hearing "come to mama." Like I was like,
I love that.
like come to mama on all the Jaguars. I was like, come to mama, like that's me. Like it's my innate family or my, and I am that.
Mm.
I am I am that. I am that powerful.
Wonderful. And last little bit before we start to wind it down, the cards. We talked about hearts. That's hearts. Clubs. It's a big club for the mind. Spade. It's the acorn and planning creation and bringing it in. But diamonds. You said something about. I'm sorry, a part of the body. I can't remember which down
Gut.
below. Gut.
Your gut
But
instinct.
talk to us more about the diamond suit. And I'm listed as an ace of diamonds, I think, with a February 24th, 1968.
That is the way you got listed. It's true. You
Okay.
list phone book that way.
Yeah, what's it all mean again? The
Diamonds
diamonds
are
and ace of diamonds and all the rest.
diamonds are all the vibrations of life that have hardened into a physical form that you can perceive with your five senses. You don't perceive your feelings, and you don't perceive your thoughts, and you don't perceive consciousness. So anything you can see, taste, touch, or smell is a diamond. Some people, rational empiricists, think that that's the only level of reality that's real, but it's only 1/4 of the story. If you're born into the suit of diamonds as you are, it makes you eminently pragmatic. Can we see it? Can we taste it? Can we touch it? Can we smell it? Yes. Great. And it's interesting to me that your practice and your gift to give is the tangible connection to angels, to spirits, to that embodied energy. So you're really playing on the edges of your diamond ability, that you're expanding the perceptive gaze to see material things that other people may not ordinarily perceive as material, but you're initiating that. And that's the ace energy. The ace is the initiator, the fire starter. So you bring forth something. And sometimes it can be played out in any number of ways. We have free will, and this was our early conversation in our relationship. Vicky wanted to know that we still have free will, and we do. Because someone could be born to play the ace of diamonds and be like Steve Jobs, and they're going to invent a computer. And I'm using the invention of Steve Jobs right now to talk to you. Another famous person born to play the ace of diamonds like you is Louise Hay. And she used to joke that before her, there was no self-help section in the bookstore. She initiated that. She brought that forth. She expanded our perception of what was possible. And so that's what you're doing with your Ace of Diamonds. You're initiating a new level of awareness, perception about our material domain, our physical domain, of what's possible to perceive in our physical and material domain.
Those are two really good examples. And by the way, I never get to say this. 300 tapings. I never say that I help people. Well, you can meet Elvis, Anthony Bourdain, Debbie Ford, but Steve Jobs is technically part of the crew. So I'm going to put up Steve only if you get something. He's unconditional love, reconciled. But here's Steve if you want to hear something from him that either says right on what you said, what he said. What are you getting from him if somebody wants to kick out something that's cute?
Go for it.
And Vicky, did you get something as well?
Um, I, there's like a sassiness, like to me, like go for it, but it's like in a sassy way. It's like, of course you should go for it. Like, isn't it obvious? You know?
Well, I'm going to do a last random act before we have you give us a serious, closeout for the show. You've done a lot of shows, you've done a lot of speaking and helping others along the way, and there's a lot more ahead for you. But I'm going to show my light on this background, and if we can just say whatever you see between my fingers. People at home, if you need extra help, put a hand on your heart. Ask angels to get in here, help you with your seeing. Whatever way you need to phrase it is all that matters. But Joy can be your ambassador for this. What I'm going to say is, since it's Valentine's Day, once you get my flow, ask for her and your own crew to do something extra. You might get little pink hearts coming off of it. We've had flowers. A running buffalo was the craziest thing. 2 phoenixes, but geometric vortices. I don't even know how to say that word. The point is, ask for extra that you know it's not me. We're not blaming me. Blame angels. Don't blame Canada. Here comes the background here. And the most important thing is you get a dad joke. And I need one that you've
The
not
most
heard. Yeah, here's the dad joke. I got it. This is my worst dad joke in the world. What's the only flower found on the human face? Tulips. See a little filament of light between my fingers. If you could both say got it when you got it.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, and what are you seeing? What color or colors or whatever?
White.
White, yellow.
Okay, now could you ask Joy to kick it into gear and the whole rest of the crew, galactic loving beings, light beings, angels, the cheerleading squad. What are you getting for extra? Any pink at all? Any hearts? Any extra? Fireworks?
Yeah.
Yay.
Really?
I love it. Alexander, oh, no pressure on you. This is awesome. Here, I'm going to go bigger and faster.
How do I top fireworks?
No, you can't, but I'm like, that's the best answer you could give because I love having people see fireworks is like, I always think that's the coolest. Disney fireworks. Okay, Alexander, no pressure, but you can look up on the ceiling as well. See if you catch something while I'm just getting prepared for the final little exit of the show here. You can look up and see a little bit, ask for a little bit of light around you. If you resist at home, people, you can get a little just peripheral only. You can't really resist light. You're seeing it all the time. Did you get anything extra?
Well, we got some birds flying out of our window right now. I looked up and I saw these white seagulls flying around like orbs, but they're seagulls, but that's what they looked like when I first looked up.
Oh, I love it. Okay. You're going to be on the show again in 2026 and maybe sooner. We'll see at the end of the summer of 2025. What's a last reminder you want to leave with everybody? Alexander.
There is a perfect design to reality. And so if you feel lost, it's not because you're lost, it's simply that you haven't gotten the map. There is a simple map of reality. You have a life path that shows you your human template, your blueprint, and then every year you have new cards to play that show you the template for your year. So we have a map. There is a user's guide to life on Earth. Life really did come with a rule book, but then it was hidden. It was persecuted. The church persecuted it. It was called the Devil's Picture Book in the Middle Ages. But this is the original map and blueprint of our reality. It's the building blocks of reality. So once you know it, then you know the map. You have the template. You have the blueprint. And then it's up to you. You have your free will, so you can choose to do with it whatever you want, but at least now you have the map.
And Viki, what would you like to remind folks on this wonderful Valentine's Day?
Oh, I just feel like just in response to what Alexander is saying, that this system is so much about accepting oneself. It's like radical acceptance of oneself versus someone else who's most likely playing completely different cards. So it just really illuminates self-love and love for another human being because we're all playing different cards, so.
I love it. And I'll just add, smile more, think less. With that, I want to thank you both. Viki, Alexander, you've both been fantastic as guests. Thank you very much for being on the APL Spotlight series.
Thank you so much for
Thank
having
you
us.
so much for having us.